Imagine not seeing Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. Well, we might never have seen Scarlett on the big screen at all if it weren't for this man here, the celebrated cartoonist and Academy Award-nominated screenwriter Daniel Clowes, who discovered the 18-year-old actress after randomly picking her audition tape.
Even before she talked, I was like, she looks exactly like the character. And then she was so natural, she looked like she didn't care at all, like she didn't even want the part. And she's just barely trying, and it was like, oh, she's great.
Despite the studio's desire to cast Drew Barrymore, Dan wanted Scarlett to play Rebecca in his 2001 film adaptation of Ghost World, based on his celebrated underground comic book.
The first time she came and read for us, it was like, you could just tell she's a natural.
As a result of the success of Ghost World, Dan developed a huge fan base, and his stories, characters, and style have given alternative comics a new level of respect previously not seen before. An icon in the comic book world, Dan and I caught up at the North American debut of his highly anticipated graphic novel, Patience, a sci-fi time-traveling love story that took him 5 years to make.
This is the first time that readers...
time anybody is going to see this book.
So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling a little weird, because it's I always think there's some line Lou Reed has about, like, you work like 3 years on an album and then some jerk in the Village Voice gives you a B+. And there's something about that, like there's nothing worse than that. Like you want either people to like, this is horrible, this is a travesty, or like, it's great, so.
Did you like delving into the sci-fi world with this one?
I like the way science fiction looks. I have a very kind of antiquated view of it.
Yeah.
Where I like old visions of the future. I like to look at like the 1920s vision of 1970. Like it's much better than the real thing.
Dan's comic, Art School Confidential, was also turned into a feature film, and this year, his comic book adaptation of Wilson, starring Laura Dern and Woody Harrelson, will land on the big screen.
What's it like for you seeing your work translated onto the big screen and being, these characters that you came up with being portrayed by celebrities?
It's the weirdest feeling. You can imagine how weird that is.
Yeah, it's weird as you think, yeah?
Yeah. Well, the first time I saw Ghost World in a little theater and people were laughing and stuff, and I just felt like, how did I project my brain onto the screen?
Why do you think your work lends well to film?
I really focus on the stories a lot. They have an actual story, and the things that work well in film are when you have a simple-ish story and good characters.
Daniel Clowes absolutely changed the way people look at alternative comics. I think that he is sort of emblematic of a kind of comic, of a kind of dour, even sour worldview sometimes, but at the same time, there's incredible humanity in his work, and I think that's the mark of someone who's really doing excellent literature.
Me and a bunch of my peers that came along at that time were just trying to invent the world we wanted to exist with no thought that it would last. We were all just young, stupid kids figuring, oh, we'll do this for a couple of years, and then somebody will tell us, that this doesn't make sense, and we'll run along.
And yet nobody told you it didn't make sense.
Somehow we scammed everybody for 30 years now.